Welcome everyone to this week's Tim Talks. We are so glad that you chose to use your Tuesday afternoon just for a few minutes to hang out with us just for a bit. Just want to give you guys an update. So many of you guys have been asking about my pops. We have had a phenomenal week. Thoughts and prayers and phones blowing up and how is your dad, Tim, that kind of stuff. Just absolutely all week long. We can't thank you enough. He is doing just recovering very quickly. No IVs anymore. Actually, they're going to be moving him this week to a recovery rehab facility. So just want to thank you all so much for asking about Dad. We are going to be taking a holiday break. December, we will not have. We will be live next week. We will not, however, have Tim Talks on the 22nd or the 29th. So we are going to be taking a little bit of a break. I'm just making sure now, as you can, so hopefully you can see us and we should be good. I want to talk a little bit today. I've got, as I think we're having a little bit of technical issues. I think we're good now as this goes on. Sarah, can you talk? Are you good now? Nope, you're still muted. So Sarah, Holly Ann, you and Sarah continue to try to figure that out. But the reason, look, the amazing thing and the reason that we keep continuing, with AAS, we talked about Sarah's stores. At DMSC, we talked at Sarah's stores because, I mean, it's worth talking about. It's worth talking about because, again, from the time she took over that dealer group, now tracking 4,000 dealerships more. And quite frankly, she was the one of the ones that called me first way back in March and put together an execution plan on, the shutdown. And listen, we don't want to be, we're not doomsday prophets. We're not saying the world's coming to an end, but look, I'm sitting here in Kentucky as I'm living now, half the month, taking care of my pops and my mom with my brother and such. And restaurants are shut down and there's rumors and in California, I know it's completely different. So, we want to be prepared and we want to go straight to the source to one of the people, even if, there's not 100% buy-in in your dealership. So we're going to try to touch base with Sarah one more time. Sarah, can you try, if you can hear me, can you try to unmute, if Holly Ann, if you could unmute her line and see if, there we go. Can you talk now? Nope, still mute. Oh my goodness, still muted. Not sure what's going on if you guys can hear me, but we might have to just take a second. Nope, we still can't hear you. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just call you. I think what I'll do is I'll just call you. Okay. You figured it out? She'll be right back. Okay. We'll be You got to love technology. It would only be fitting as we close out the second to last show in 2020 that something like this would happen. But you know what? It is what it is. The one thing as I am still working, obviously, on a daily basis, I'm talking. I took a conversation yesterday, and I want you to really dial in here. And those of you that are logged in, those of you guys that are going to hear this, as it gets reshared, I really want you to think about this because, we had this big wave of March, April, May, June of OEMs and everybody, dealer principals and everyone getting on the digital retailing bandwagon. I think Ryan's left eye or right eye in there, and hopefully he's fixing the mute button. But I've had dealers say, hey, Tim, we thought that the majority of our business because of COVID was going to go all online, and we're not seeing that. And I say that loosely. I'm just telling you guys every week, what I'm hearing on a bigger scale. With 4,000 approaching actually 5,000 dealers now, we have a lot of conversations. So we want to bring you what's happening. And I've got dealers saying that. I've got dealers saying, you know what, we thought it was going to be X, but it's not. And I've got dealers saying, but that's okay because we're like Sarah's stores were making, $300 or $400 PVR higher on these particular deals. And then I had another conversation this week with a dear friend who runs a dealership, and he's having a little issue just getting people to answer what we call deal nows, or answering the TOs. This is all low-hanging fruit. And I think that once we understand that, and once we understand that there is such low-hanging fruit out there with a projected December, I've heard that November's been off a little bit. I've talked to multiple dealerships. The numbers weren't as great, maybe for you and your dealership in November. But I'm hearing that December is projected to do just phenomenal. So what are you going to do? How are you going to set expectations with your salespeople? How are you going to set expectations, quite frankly, just to get them to answer leads? Dealerships right now, with every tool and everything going on, we really don't need more leads. We just need to take better care. So I think I can hear you now, Sarah. Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Wow. Hey, man, we got through it. It's okay. It's okay. That's funny. I'm here in Kentucky, and I think are you not in Kentucky? Where are you?
No, I'm in Atlanta. We switched spots.
Yeah, we switched. Yeah. Brian Toole's busting you up. He said better late than never. So anyway, it's good. It's funny. We switched spots. Now I'm in God's country, Kentucky, and you are in Atlanta. But look, let's just get started. Let's talk about, I opened up, you were probably running around trying to figure out how mute gets, to get your mute off. But let's start there. I had two conversations today. Obviously, the success of your dealer group, and now others, quite frankly, the success of Legit Marketing Company and what you guys have done. What do you say to that dealer? And quite frankly, this dealer is amazing. Like, this dealer is spot on. He's on the edge of technology, but he said, Tim, we didn't see as much as we thought as far as taking it all the way through the process. Let's start there. And how would you answer? Because I know that question's coming along. A lot of dealers, a lot of dealer groups, a lot of OEMs, everybody was scared to death at the beginning and middle of the year. Everybody's got to get a DR tool. Everybody's got to get a DR tool. Everybody's got a DR tool. And then they thought this massive wave. But when I bought two of my cars this summer, the dealerships were packed. So what would you say to that dealer that said, hey, I thought it was going to be X, but it's actually this? What would you say to him or her?
I would say that so many consumers still want to go touch and feel and test drive a vehicle. They still want to just see it. That's a big purchase before, to buy. So that's a lot of money going out of their pocket each month, and they want to touch, feel, and make sure that that's the perfect vehicle for them. Not all consumers are confident to buy that large of a purchase online without doing any of the above. So what the DR tool actually is driving.
So that's what my question. I'm going to interrupt you. So why do we need DR? So if most people still want to touch and feel, and we have a love affair with automobiles in the United States, then why does a dealer need a DR tool if they're just going to come to my dealership anyway? That's probably the $1 million question right now.
So people are not going to, they're not going to go to multiple, right, dealerships. They're not, during COVID's kind of timing that down. But the tool's value is it's providing consumer confidence and consumer knowledge on their end, right? That they get to play with the tool, they get to look at their trade value, they get to do all of these things before they go in. They might just not go all the way through, all the way to the purchase. But I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, the people who have already utilized the digital return tool on that particular website, those deals typically close within an hour, let's just say. People want to get in, want to get out, it's convenient. So even though they do want to touch and feel it, they've already got halfway down through the process. But again, even if you see the attribution on your side from the digital return tool, or the messaging, because of that providing confidence as well, it's a driver for a way for a consumer to have best of both worlds. Does that make sense? And as a dealer, it puts you in that light whenever you do brand your digital retailing tool, or you do allow consumers, you're pushing this, right, on your websites, on every single BDP, that you have this available for them. It's making you look like you care about the time of that consumer. You care about, where you care about them. You care about their time, their convenience, whether or not you're providing a solution if they don't want to come to the dealership. So I think having that said, to that dealer that was asking about this, I would ask, are the leads that are coming through your digital retailing tool, and I'm assuming he's using Buy Now, do you and your sales managers have the dashboard up? Are you working the leads that are coming in, and when that sound alarm that somebody's in the deal now process, are you jumping in and looking at it? How are you handling these leads? Because if they're not handling these leads as a hot, this person's in this deal building it their way right now, if they're not in there looking at these as the most valuable leads that are coming into their CRM at that point, and not into the CRM, just into the dashboard at that point, right? If they're not handling those absolutely different than that they would handle an auto trader lead in the CRM, then they need to have some more training, because, and I would actually suggest that for everyone, is having up-to-date training, getting on with your performance manager to make sure that your stores are, everybody in your store, from the salesperson to the sales manager to even the GM and dealer principal. It's so important to understand what these tools do and the value that they bring, but also to utilize them. There's been so many tools that we've implemented or that we have at our fingertips that we only use for 10% of actually what they are. And when you don't have the Buy Now, dashboard up, you're not hearing those things like that. I mean, and it's allowed. Like, I know my managers that have it on because I hear it throughout the store, just like, when I'm visiting. So, but without that, like, they're just depending on the CRM to push those through, and then process from there, however they do.
I'm going to touch on two things you said. The biggest, and again, this is just not a Car Now thing or a Buy Now thing, but, if I could beg dealers, and I'm going to talk about why your group is different in just a second. We, as car guys and girls, for the most part, across the country, because look, I go across I still, talk to dealers coast to coast all the time, every single day. And that is the number one, whether you're selling a digital retailing solution, whether you're inside that is the number one thing that we hear. I don't have buy-in for my team. Most people, just like back in 1989, right up the street about a mile from here when I started in the car business, salespeople get there, they smoke their cigarettes, and they drink their coffee, and they look at what used to be the paper. Now it's the internet, and they wait for people to come up. And I am begging people, I am begging you, if you just, these people, it's ringing a cash register every time you hear that button, ding, ding, ding. But yet we just want to do things our way, and we just want to be in front of a person. And the dealers like yours, now I'm going to tell you why, I'm going to tell others why I know that it's not even debatable why the difference that your dealer group had, even though, because let's just be honest, inside all of Sarah's stores, not all of Sarah's stores, every manager and every salesperson has buy-in on all Car Now products. They don't. Let's just be totally honest. The reason, and this is, if I could tell every one of our approaching 5,000 dealers now that we have been blessed to partner with Car Now, if I could tell them one thing, it would be this. The reason that when you went in, that you're trending almost 4,000 vehicles more than 2018 when you started. The reason is because you have branded the process. You have created a brand. If you do not get that, if you don't get anything that else that we're telling you now, you have got to brand your process. I know, because I've been to a Don Franklin store. Dadgummit, because I'm in Kentucky. Let me say it again. Dadgummit, I've bought a car from Don Franklin in Lexington. And I know when you walk in, whether it's a billboard, whether it's OTT, a 30-second commercial, whether it's explaining the process, that customer has seen something with that Don Franklin Fast Pass logo. They've also seen fast cash, which we'll talk about in just a second. But because it's branded that way, the customer, and it's on the commercials, it's clearly on the website. And because that, even though we're not going to sit here and lie to you people listening to Tim Talks right now and say, oh, everybody's bought in and they have halos around their head and they answer every single day now. Listen, if they answered the deal now, they'd see 10x. Most of them do. She has 24 stinking stores, right? In that particular dealer group, and not all of them, no dealership's perfect. So that's what I'm saying. I can preach it until the cows come home. You've got to brand your process. Those customers see what's happening and they walk them all the way through the process. And then therefore the salespeople and the sales managers are there just pick it up. If they're going to answer deal nows and if they're going to answer those buy now deals, guys, you're going to see a 10x increase. It's just because you're treating customers better, because those same customers are shopping your competition. I'm banging my head against the wall because literally it's just that easy. Is it not? Did I miss something, Sarah?
No, it is. And I see where like your frustration, like that's mine as well, because this group isn't perfect. And, like there's, you have to constantly remind people of, have your dashboard up, make sure you're treating these are hot leads. These are people that are coming in right now. They're ready to buy, they're building their deal. Like you've got to treat these differently, but you're right. If I hadn't branded the Franklin Fast Pack, no one would know what it was.
Right.
The consumers wouldn't understand it.
Yep.
It's on everything. Like it's on, obviously we have, promotion through our commercial, through video, through that we do on all of our channels, right? YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, OTT, all the different advertising, tactics that you can use. But if I didn't have that and just relied on our sales managers and salespeople to push it wouldn't exist. It would just be another logo on our website. So that's what I'm saying. Like it all works hand in hand, but having the training, having your general managers hold your sales managers accountable, in turn holding their salespeople accountable, and really understanding like who's going to handle these buy now deals, who's going to deal with the deal now. You know what I mean? Is it you're going to do your sales manager? Are you going to have one dedicated person to it? Or are you going to allow that to hit your BDC or your salespeople? Like how you've got to understand that process and how best it's going to work. Because like you and I talked about, having a champion within the store is going to be, 9 times out of 10, the most successful to handle those leads that are coming in. But yeah, I think training, I think holding people accountable, branding, white labeling your own digital retailing tool to make it your own, and creating that campaign that allows the consumers to know when they go on your website, when they see your photo overlay, whenever they see that particular logo, they know exactly what to do and what it represents.
So we've got a question coming in. It says, and I think I know where you're going to go with this, but if dealers refuse, and I would argue that this question from Brian is probably the majority of the questions. It's a great question, because I think a majority of the dealerships, whether they have a DR tool or they don't have a DR tool, I think it's pretty good. So if dealers refuse to change their process and their sales room floor, is the internet department wasting their time trying to brand an online digital retailing experience? First of all, I would say I don't know that the internet department would be, when you say internet department, I'm assuming you're saying marketing, because the internet department is not going to be able to brand a logo, not going to be able to. So I'm assuming you're saying like the digital team branding a logo and so on and so forth. I'm going to let you take I think we're going to say the same thing, so I'm going to let you take a shot at that.
So the BDC,
basically, if there's no buy-in on the floor, if you're an outside marketing person, you're coming in, you're telling that this is what's going to do, but there's no buy-in at the dealership level, are they just wasting their time? That's the question. No's a pretty big word.
No, yeah, I'm like, no, because that's the whole branding campaign. That's the whole, what I just got done saying was that even if there's no buy-in, you're still branding it to the consumer that you have this available for them. So even though like your management or your sales team might not be pushing it, you're still pushing it to the consumer to help them understand how to for one find it, and how to work through it, and what it is and what it can do for them, and what solution it provides to their needs. So I think and listen, like it's speaking of the BDC, so I send the BDC, the commercials or videos and that kind of thing, and that's something that they can add on their signature line, or on their automated emails or anything else, including the management and sales staff. But like pushing it that way through video, through obviously the leads that are already coming in, or through email campaigns that are going out, that's one way to do it. Just to let your consumers know that, hey, no matter how you feel about what our world is going through, if you don't feel comfortable, you can stay at home. We're happy to provide this service for you. If you want to come in, if you just want to go ahead and work your numbers, we're happy to provide this service for you. If you just want to play around and look at your trade, here it is. We have all these tools available for you to buy a vehicle, or go through that process, or shop the way that you feel comfortable and that is convenient to your time.
He's following up by saying,
if
if experience is the new brand, then why do something that doesn't get buy-in on the floor? I will speak for Sarah, and I'll let her follow this up in case I misspeak. Sarah is seeing, because we talk about it, and Sarah shows me her source report from all the dealerships as far as the what is increasing. I mean, we need to have it with all your vendors. You need to, whether you're a website or a SEO, you need to have these type of meetings with your vendors. But because she has created that experience, that customer goes in, calculates that payment, they set an appointment, or they show up and they buy cars. And not only do they buy cars, even if they don't talk to a quote unquote internet salesperson or some person on the floor, they automatically, when they show up, they at least see that they were in the system. They at least see that they worked this deal, and they're buying cars, and they're buying cars at the highest closing rate in 24 stores with any other product. It's because of that experience, because you're branding that experience. I don't want to say you don't need the salesperson, but that's what the technology does. It does. The technology does the meet and greet. It shows the virtual car. You pencil the deal. You give them a trade in, and then that comes in. And I'm going to say, I know we're just talking to mostly car guys and girls right now. Sarah's seeing $300 and $400 higher PVR on those deals because she branded the process. Her logo, if you go to donfranklinauto.com, it's the Franklin Fast Pass is the logo. That's the logo that's when you walk into the dealership. It's the customer was just online, which is probably on their phone. They saw that logo. When they go see that billboard or they see that commercial, they see that logo. When they go on her website, guess what? Ding, ding, ding. They see that logo. When they go into the dealership, plastered on the front door of the dealership, guess what? They see that logo. So you're creating a sense of ease. You're creating that, that seamless, without doing anything, without any human resources. You create the brand. They figure the deal. They figure their payment. And please tell people, most people may think, hey, let's say this or let's say this. Look, and just so you know, I know Sarah's been on multiple times. None of it's made up. In fact, when things break, look, software breaks or something's wrong, she is quick to bust our chops. She is quick to blow our phones up. So this isn't some kind of la-di-da, let's just tell everybody stories. This is good, bad, and the ugly. So I would argue you create the experience, you plaster it everywhere, you educate your people. So when you're going to have people coming off the street, hey, listen, I just came in, I figured my deal. Can I see your printout? Can I see this? What's your name? Let's pull it up. Even ones that don't have a quote unquote conversation with the BDC, maybe they bypass it. Am I right or am I wrong, or what am I missing?
No, you're absolutely right. And think about it. Think about what GM's doing, the shop, click, drive, right? They're branding it. They spent millions of dollars running network commercials and directing people to do shop, click, drive. There are the Hyundai, the shop at home. You have to have all this available. So it seems to me like, the OEMs know how important it is, right? Because you have to have that available in order to sell units. And guys, look, if we shut down again, and I'm not trying to be gloom and doom over here, but there is a possibility that it could happen. So if your team isn't bought in, and if your sales team needs training, your BDC needs training, your sales managers, whoever it is, I would absolutely promote training in the next few days, once a week, if they're there Mondays and Fridays, great. If everybody can do it together on one call, that's great. But make sure that you understand how the tool works, how to use it best, and the best practices, because you never know, especially rounding the end of 2020, you don't ever know what could happen. And it's best to be prepared for it. And it's best to know how that tool can help you during those times.
I really, and again, somebody just texted another text says, if they don't buy in, then it's time for them to travel and meet new people. I think that's a little brash, but I think it's freaking hilarious. So,
I mean, listen, you're too weak to ask, right?
Yeah, if you're too weak to ask. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not saying that you're too weak to get buy-in, because the norm is, look, we're car guys and girls and we hate new things. I've told this story 1,000 times on the show. When Reynolds, I knew backwards and forwards the old blue screen at Reynolds. And when we got the new desking, it was probably 15 years. I don't know when it was. It was a long time ago. I bucked and kicked and I said, guys, why do we need something new? I know, I knew 4770 and 4008 and 4006. I knew all my codes to get all my inventory, run my reports. Why do we need something new? And then it took me about a week to figure out, oh my gosh, now I can do this and now I can do this. Ladies and gentlemen, some things are not debatable. If you're having a hard time getting buy-in from your dealer principal or from your general manager about this process, not just Sarah. Sarah's not the only success story that we have or that I talk to on a weekly basis. We have multiple people, story after story after story. I'm thinking about the Yark team, the Billy Yark. I was texting with him, reached out to me today, asking about my dad. And thank you, Billy, if you're listening. Just a class act, just a phenomenal dealer group there in Toledo, Ohio, just amazing human beings. And they have crushed it. So if you have issue or if you're trying to listen, I will be happy to take any phone call. And of course, since I'm the Car Now guy, if you want to talk to Sarah, she'll be happy to take your phone call. If you want to talk to Billy Yark, he'll be happy to take. I'm speaking for him, but he just sent me a referral today. So I'm assuming I can send it. We have a lot. We have hundreds of dealers that you can talk to get some best practices, because guys, this is serious stuff that we need to be prepared for. Before, as we land the plane, you had a great idea that I just want to share with people, if we can do it in like 5 minutes or so. And maybe there's so much to talk about. You'll come back on, and maybe it's next week instead of Dan Moore, or Jonathan, but we'll figure it out. You had an idea. A lot of people use a Kelley Blue Book buying center, and your idea, because of our AI flows, and I know, Brian, you're texting in, I know you're using some of those AI flows, but those AI flows to take over the process, especially, listen, I think I've heard they've come down a little bit because of inventory, but car prices at the auction are through the roof. They just are. And obviously we don't need to go how important it is to buy cars off the street. Can you listen, if anything else, look, I'm a used car not a guru. I'm not a self-proclaimed, but I love used cars. In Atlanta, with 5 Lexus dealerships and a Lexus dealership basically being a fancy Toyota dealership, and it's triple net. I just said, screw it. We're going to sell pre-owned cars. So pre-owned cars are my passion. But, an old wise dealer once told me, Tim, you never make the money when you sell the car. You make the money when you buy the car. So long story short, will you just kind of give us a 6-minute overview of, and by the way, what she's about to tell you, facts trump feelings. This location is they're averaging 60 vehicles off the street every single month. Let me say that again. 60 stinking vehicles every single month. So you can say, what about this? And oh my gosh, what if this happens? It's working. So I'm going to shut up and let you, Sarah, talk about the acquisition of buying 60. And listen, and I know there's some Car Now people, I think, on this podcast. Use this information to help your dealers. It's going to be free if they have Convert Now. We can set it up. Listen, all dealer, we can set this up so you can take advantage and buy cars off the street. So that's a big intro. You better live up to it, Sarah. So go ahead.
Oh, it's a big intro. And I think I just had this conversation this morning, so that's good. So what we did with the AI tree is we took basically the KBV form, and we turned it into a virtual chat, right? So we had versus having a KBB form, which actually is that I framed in. So that information also goes to KBB, and then you get the email, right? So think about today's consumer behavior. What do you want as a consumer, right? What do you want to be responded to 15 minutes, like when you're right there in the middle of about to buy, or want to know that information? No, you wouldn't accept that from Google. If you were trying to research something or look something up, you wouldn't let your computer send for 15 minutes, you'd move on. So with that said, we noticed like the way the form fields were, and then we took that and we're like, all right, let's script this out. So now when somebody clicks on the Franklin Fast Cash CTA, then it immediately pops up this chat, and in that chat it's like, thank you for choosing we would love to purchase your vehicle. Can you tell us about it? Sure. You start typing, right? So you 2017 Yukon, and it starts populating all the models that could be chosen. Okay. Then you choose your trim level, and then you say how many miles you have, right? This is basic information, but and then you get to choose, right? You get to choose if you like trade pending, KBB, whatever it is as a price quote. After that customer then enters their information in, they immediately get a response with that price quote that they would have gotten 15 minutes later, right? And then from there, it's, would you like to schedule an appointment? Okay.
Which is also an AI flow.
Like, let's say yes, and then
Right.
This is all part of this whole AI flow. So, and then after that, it's how do you want to be communicated with? Okay, great, thank you, have a great day. But then do they want to make an appointment? Okay, yes or no. Like what day, time, you get to choose it all, right? Go straight to your CRM. Then you also get to know how they're communicated with. Here's the key. If somebody says they want you to text them, don't email. Even if they provided an email. If somebody wants you to text them versus call, text them. Do not call. They are telling you, consumers tell us how they want to be communicated with, and we go off into the exact opposite.
That's a whole other.
So it's just like not listening. You're
That's
like, we're not listening to how they want to interact with us, and that's key. That is such a key and vital point, because we did this test with another store, and literally we had them switch their focus to texting versus phone calls, or like texting was the first priority versus phone calls, right? These BDC reps were getting like 70% response rate. Yay, nay, whatever it is, at least they were able to like mark it in the CRM to where they knew the follow-up process from there. Like, tag that customer. Are they in market? Are they ready to buy? Can I make an appointment? They're actually answering me now because it's on text. Because during the time of day, if people are shopping for a vehicle, they can't typically accept a phone call or, answer their personal email or what have you. But
and you have buy-in, you have big buy. Now this, you don't, I don't know if it's Nick or a couple other people, but with this, you have one person or two people. I forgot. I know we talked about this, but in Lexington, how many people do you have that answer these pre-owned, these fast cash? And by the way, she breezed over it, ladies and gentlemen, but she also branded the fast cash. So just like when you go into the dealership and you see usually dealerships have two glass doors. When you walk in, you're going to see one logo that said, look, I'm just telling you, we're going to set the table and it's up to you to eat the dinner. Okay. So I'm just telling you, and maybe your dealership doesn't need to sell 4,000. Your dealer group doesn't need to sell 4,000 more vehicles year over year. And maybe your dealership doesn't need to find an extra 60 vehicles off the street every month. So for you guys, don't listen, tune out. But for you guys that maybe want to sell thousands of vehicles more, and maybe for you people, and I'm being flippant, but it makes me bang my head. Maybe for you guys that do want to average $300 or $400 higher PVR on your DR tools, maybe this is for you. But the sticker on there says Fast Pass. right next to it with a different logo, very similar, same fonts, says Fast Cash. She has branded both. So it's a process. Experience is the new brand. I'm going to brand the experience, not only of my DR tool, I'm going to brand the experience. Listen, Carvana's coming after your customers. CarMax is coming after your customers. They sell experience. They're selling their vehicles to them. Why couldn't you make it easy to sell it to you? So again.
So on that point, let me just follow up with that real quick, because on that point that Carvana is selling the experience, on CarMax that is selling the experience, how many times have you ever heard them push price?
Never. Never. Ever. And oh, by the way, we're like Mutt and Jeff. Listen, by the way, this is fact. This is fact. CarMax on average sells pre-owned cars. Mr. Dealer Principal that can't get buy-in, Mr. Sales Manager that can't get buy-in. This podcast needs to go to every dadgum. Yeah, I said dadgum. I'm back in Kentucky. To every salesman on every sales floor. CarMax on average, I dare you to inspect me. $1,200 higher PVR on the same pre-owned car. So your customers in your PMA are paying CarMax $1,200 more for the same stinking car than they could pay it for you on average, and they never talk about price. They talk about the experience. They talk about we don't haggle, and they go on. I'm not saying you need one price store. Man, I'm going to start to preach right now, fire and brimstone, because I'm getting fired up, and I am in a church office, so might as well just let it roll. I mean, guys, I hate it, but it's so simple. It's that simple. Why would we do anything different? Brand your experience. Brand your experience. Make sure that people are following through. You never answered my question because I started preaching. How many people are handling these leads when they come in through Fast Cash in Lexington? The one and correct me, are they still averaging 60? I'm putting you on the spot. What are they averaging? I know November was off a little bit, but what month?
Yeah, November was a little.
November was off.
November was wonky. I have no
right.
November other than the election, but they got, I believe it was 56 this past month, but still, like, the point of that is, like, once we did put that campaign together, they were stuck at 36. For whatever reason, 36 was the highest they could have ever gotten until we started branding that, and then we changed, obviously, the AI flow and really started pushing people towards it. So we've got Shannon Jones, who is great. I mean, he handles so many, and there's two people, so two main guys that handle it, and then there's one dedicated person to the BDC that does the Tim and KBB and Fast Cash leads only, so that they can get those appointments.
So there's only a few people basically that are handling, on average, again, an off month. Look, one thing you get here, we're never going to fluff numbers. You get the truth. They did 56 last month. I know it was 60 something in October and so on and so forth. We need to land the plane, but if you need help, I think this is so important because everybody, we'll talk about DR, but if your dealer, and I know that this gets passed around my CarNow team as well. CarNow team, listen to me. Check. Listen to me. If you have a dealer, our job is to serve our dealers. This is something that we can give them if they have Convert Now that we can set up for absolutely free. No dollars whatsoever. It's free. Why in the world would we not do this? Sarah is willing to help for a brief phone call, to help. Obviously, she has her own marketing agency. As long as you're not in direct in direct line, obviously, with and competing against one of her dealerships, she'll be happy to help. But we have enough people that we can set this up for you. So your dealers and dealers listening, I know there's a lot of dealers listening too, so that you guys can set this up. It's very simple on your website. We'll show you how to brand it for hardly any investment at all. I mean, if you get 20 deals a month off the street, the average used car gross in a dealership's over $2,000. I mean, guys, do that math, and it's free. It's found money. We are here to serve you. Sarah, we have to land the plane. We're going to get back on soon because I know there's a lot of people that have a lot of questions. If you want to contact Sarah at Legit Marketing, I know we don't have a logo to throw up, or maybe we do. I'm not sure. But you can reach out to Sarah at what is your email address, by the way?
It's Sarah at Legit Marketing Group. .com.
So Sarah at legit, LEGIT, like too legit to quit. Just don't wear hammer pants. You don't want to see me in hammer pants, but legit marketing group. Sarah at legit marketing group. If you have any questions, she'll be happy to help. And as always, we will be back next week before we take a holiday break. And again, I just thank you so much for reaching out, talking about my pops as I sit here in his office. I'm just encouraged about just the amazing positive energy and everything that has happened this week. Listen, no one's smarter than everyone. Let's always get better together. We will see you next week. So go out and crush. We'll see you soon.